Hey everyone, that is gonna race here tonight. No races, but a very interesting thing to do. So, season 4 of iRacing brought us two new GTP cars, which is amazing. It's amazing what they're doing with this class. I'm simply loving it. It's my favorite class in racing, I guess. Um, and the season 4 brought us the new Acura and the Porsche 962. I'm a Porsche fan. Actually, German cars in general. That's why I stuck with the BMW instead of going to the Caddy. And I'll probably stick up with the Porsche. I'm gonna test both the Porsche and the Acura, and see how they go. Um, Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll still stay with the BMW. It's a good car. But you know, I think the Porsche here is very promising. Let me adjust the string. I was just sorry for the delay in the start. I was just, I noticed something weird in my image on the streams here on Twitch. So still making adjustments. I recently moved uh, from YouTube to Twitch to make some tests. So far so good. But let's look at the Porsche. So before we go into the track, so let's a few things to notice here in the Porsche. So let's go into the garage. Here, these setups are pretty similar to the other GTPs. You can adjust fuel. Let me actually switch to a different screen here. You guys be able to see it better. So here, tire pressures, here wing angle is pretty much the same. But then here on, mechanical grip or the chassis adjustment, then you have some significant differences. The first one is that in the front of the car, you don't have as many adjustments as, sorry about the noise, you don't have as many adjustments as in the other GTP cars. You don't have, dampers and all that kind of stuff in the front. It's a very, I would say, stiff front, and both sides here are pretty much locked in the front. You can still adjust the master front here with the heave spring and the offset. So the way you go with height adjustment for the ride height in the front is by adjusting the spring and the offset here on the heave perch. Um, it also has what we call a roll spring. So instead of adjusting the front ARB stiffness of the arm, this one actually has roll spring. So by adjusting the spring, you're pretty much doing that same adjustment with the arm on the front. But I think this adjustment is a lot more flexible in terms of adjusting how the front behaves. And that can make a huge difference on corner entry. So pay attention to that, play with that thing. Also, you have the roll perch offset. So in tracks where the roll might, get you into a curb or something, you can, loosen up the roll, but it still offsets a little bit, so you are making the ride height a little bit higher here in the roll. So it definitely helps. Uh, Here's whether or not both sides of the ARB are connected. If you disconnect them, oops, what's going on? Sometimes it's interface. So you can disconnect or connect them, um, and you have the adjustment. Another thing I noticed is that, instead of adjustments from 1 to 5, you have 1 to 13. So a lot more steps, which makes it more like enable you to fine tune it better. Um, and that's it for the front. For the rear, uh, pretty similar, but we are missing the dampening adjustment here. which I don't know exactly why. I had the impression that this car had those adjustments in here, so maybe they released the car without those adjustments. They will include it later. I'm really not sure. If you know the answer to that, please leave in the comments. I want to learn that. But other than that, most of the time I would just adjust the spring perch offset and the spring rate and the camber anyway. I usually don't mess up with towing. Usually, this is right and rare occasions where we mess with towing. Now with weather coming up, towing adjustments might become more useful. And of course you have the rear spring, which is an adjustment that is really important for me because the way I manage the throttle, this is really important for me to avoid, oversteering by throttle. Here you still have that ARB size, and how stiff, or how soft you want it. And again, the flexibility of adjustments, the fine-tune adjustments. Actually, in the rear, you can go up to 16. So it's a lot more steps, and you can make fine adjustments. In the other cars, it's from 1 to 5, so sometimes you go from 4 to 5 or 3 to 4, just one step. It means a lot, and so this allows you to fine tune it, which it makes it a lot better. So the dampers, they put it on a whole different section, so they are not in there, in here. So I don't know. I think my previous question, just to clarify, is whether or not this would be the standard from now on, and they separate the dampers in a section for for all cars, or if uh, just this car will have this level of adjustment. One thing I notice here is that can adjust damping for the third the third spring in the rear as well, which I'm definitely gonna play with this and see how they go. Uh, Braking is pretty much the same. You can adjust the compounds, front and rear master cylinder.
The track temp's increasing. It's now 44 Celsius.
Oops, I forgot to turn off crew chief. I actually will make one adjustment here. Brake bias, and this is something that we didn't have in the BMW, but we have in the Caddy, which is the brake bias mitigation. Um, so positive values produce more forward bias migration. Each click represents a 1%, in the adjustment. Negative values produce more towards the rear. So what's happening here, when you start to adjust your brake bias, is how much they will migrate towards one direction when in braking. Here's the target. So if you are familiar with thinking on the NASCAR cars, you have the brake bias, but you also have the target for it, and you can adjust that target, to move things a little bit forward or hereward per click. It's pretty much consider it like a fine tuning of the brake bias that you have here. So some drivers, not me, not on that level yet, but they would have it set in a certain way that matches their profile and the car setup, and then they would only do some adjustments here, small adjustments even within a lap. So in certain turns they would move it towards the front, towards the back, but very, very fine tuning here, not like a massive adjustment that you can do, but that definitely helps. I just need to learn how to use these better. Good thing they have fuel target, something we don't have in the BMW, but the Caddy introduced these, so you can adjust the fuel target used per lap, which means, if you put more fuel here, you'll be using less of the MGU. If you put less, you'll be using more of the MGU. Of course, there are limits for this, um, but you can set those targets to adjust your fuel strategy, which for me is something I still need to learn how to play with, but sounds like a great feature to have. Of course, the traction controls for gain is the longitudinal um, adjustment, and slip is the rotation. Sorry, I always go. Gee, sorry, confuse myself here. Is slip is actually the longitudinal thing, so how much tire slip you have when you hit the gas. And gain is the rotation. Sometimes I confuse myself on this and learning this, but so this you control like when you are accelerating, or braking, if the tires are locking up, or when you put in the gas, the tires are slipping, so you control it here. The cars don't have ABS, but this is a way to control a little bit of a tire slip. And the control gain controls the rotation. So sometimes the car can avoid, you to spin if you have this control up. The downside is that it will slow you down. So finding that perfect balance between, you know, helping to maintain speed, but also avoiding, spinning out. So I adjust these, for example, at the beginning of the race. I'll have it on a higher setting because the tires are cold, there's less grip. As the track gets rubberized, I'll start to reduce it. Then my tires start to wear off, especially on endurance, and I might bring them up a little bit, but that's just me. You can identify how to use it. Everything else pretty much similar to the other cars, so I think I talked too much here already. I think you guys want to see it on the track, right? So, um, just need to adjust this height here a little bit. Not yet where I want it. Let's see. I actually want to go down. Yeah, I think there you go. I think we're getting somewhere here. So let me save this camera and let's go. Oops. Let's go into the track. Oh man, look at that sound. Magic still didn't release the dashboard for this car. It's probably coming on a future update. So right now I'll stick with the BMW one because I'm used to it. But soon we'll probably have the dash here. If you have a FX Pro in the latest update from Magic, they actually release. Oops, it was just there. The Caddy. The Caddy dashboard is also available here. Uh, and they have several others, but the Caddy and the BMW, they have
Limiters still on. Disengage it.
the exact replica here. Ooh, I lost it. Yeah. First time, first time. Tires were cold and I was overshooting it. Okay, let's try this again. When the tires are cold, this car is a lot more understeery compared to the BMW. I tried to put the throttle there to see if it would hold up. Apparently not with the cold tires. I think I'll stiffen up the rear a little bit. See if I get a little bit more corner entry on the stop. Yeah, it's 203. Yeah, I gotta slow down. Slow down.
Need to slow down, give back some time.
Let's see what the max speed is. My max speed with the BMW on a similar test drive, I think it was 318 on the max speed. Oh, I actually forgot to change the camera, so you guys are just seeing the screen, not the cockpit. So there you go. So now you have my cockpit in there. So what I was saying here, the max speed here with the BMW was 318. Let's see when we go into the start finish line how much speed we can get there. It definitely holds itself better. There's much more downforce in the wheels. There's a lot understeer compared to ours. Let's go see that next speed here with this setup.
You've just done a 136.94.
Three 1.6, we can do better with a better exit from the bus stop. Let's see if we can get there. We're getting the gist of it, and I still think the setup needs a lot of work. It's very understeered, so I need to fix that. But I like that on the corner exit. Corner entry is a problem right now. So let's see if corner entry is a problem. Let's try to move that brake bias a little bit forward. On the corner entry.
Mind these track limits.
No, sorry, the corner entry, but on the exit, if I go full throttle like I usually go, the car understeer a lot.
slow down to give back the time gained.
Okay, I was slow. Okay, so okay, I stiffened the rear ARB a little more. So definitely got better under throttle. Let's see here the rotation. There we go. It was a tad too much now. I think I probably should play with the differential in the rear a little bit, or maybe with the ride height in the rear. If I go on the gas in the middle of the bus stop, it will understeer, and it should figure that out. The recovery is pretty good. In the BMW will probably be bad by doing that. That sense is like the Caddy, like more forgiving. You try doing the bus stop, put in fourth gear, see if the car rotates better. But I think the whole issue is with my corner entry as well, so let's see that. Almost there, yeah, almost there, but definitely better. So let's try to reduce the gain of the TC2. See if I can get a little bit of more rotation. Too much, but now let's loosen up the rear ARB a little bit. This baby flies, man, it's so insane.
Sector one's quick.
Yeah, I think definitely the fourth gear was better there. The BMW didn't fit. That gave me the rotation I needed. The gear ratios are different. See the sixth gear here? How it doesn't even go to the max, to the flash.
The lap time was at 1:33.47. Sectors 1 and 3 are fast. Sector 2 is 1/10 off your best.
But that understeer is a problem. The BMW, makes those turns easy. That's probably something I can fix on the setup. If I can put the car to a positive rate, more positive rate by lifting the rear.
Sector 1 is 2/10 off your best.
Top speed 319 already. And by the way, I'm not even using the attack mode here, so let's try to do that in the next lap. Oh boy, messed up.
Alright Fernando, we need to watch these track limits. You need to give back the time gained.
Let's try to use attack mode here. Not this lap, but the next one. If I can get it right.
Sector 1 is 2/10 off your best. The track temperature is increasing. It's now 47 Celsius. Sector 2 is 2/10 off your best.
Let's see the top speed now with the attack mode on.
That lap was at 134.03. You're currently 1.6 off your best. All three sectors are 2/10 off your best.
I think the brake bias needs to go a little bit more forward. Or maybe it's that mitigation thing that is moving towards the rear. And that's what is causing me to understeer by the end of the trail braking. It's impressive how much it recharges the battery too. The hybrid system works amazing.
Sector 2 is a 10 off your best. Going hard out this lap, track limits. 073. Sector 3 is a tenth off your best.
I think I need a little more braking overall. But yeah, the top speed was a 319. I'm running with a lot more fuel than I was in the official with the BMW, but was already able to get to a pretty good lap time. My fastest with the BMW was 3 seconds faster than this, but with a lot less fuel, half of the fuel practically, and with a much better setup. So let's work on this a little more. So I think I use more braking, and that migration instead of towards the rear, I'll actually keep it neutral for now, and see what happens. This is much better now. This feels a lot better now. Oh wow, this is a lot better.
Sector 1 is 0.5, slower than your best.
Wow. Still a little bit of
Watch the track
kind of
limits. Please
silver
man down.
while I'm going.
lap time was 1:33.42. Sector 2 and 3 are fast. Sector 1 time is good.
Locking up the front, so now I can bring that brake bias a little bit to the back as before.
Sector 2 is a tenth off your best. Your lap time was 1:33.83. You're now 0.41 off your best. Sector 1 is 0.30 off your best. Watch your speed limit in the pits. Box in 430 meters.
I still think they need to work on that corner entry. It's definitely
100
weird
meters.
there.
50 meters.
But it's much better than it was before. So first of all, let me save this one. Can't create a folder here now, so DGR Daytona. Track temperature is 47. Air temperature 25. Humidity 44. So just a quick tip, what I do when saving my setups, I put a name on it. DGR stands for That Is Gonna Race. Just know it's a setup that I made, not something I bought from someone else. I usually organize any folders to the track, of course. Then the track temperature, air temperature, humidity. If it's a race setup, the version, and fuel. Fuel pretty much put like fuel or you know, three quarters, half, depending on the championship or the official racing that I'm on. But all these factors here: track temperature, air temperature, and humidity. They influence on the setup, the performance of the car. Sometimes, for example, if you have a really hot air temperature, the engine will struggle to deliver full power. So sometimes your setup is perfect, but you seem slow. Maybe it's not your fault. It's just the air temperature. So if you are practicing and then all of a sudden you see your performance drop, check the changes in the air temperature because that might be affecting, how the car drives. Track temperature definitely affects grip. So the higher the temperature, the worse will be the grip. So if you adjust your setup for this temperature, but then on the race your qualify is a lot higher, pay attention because you're gonna have less grip and might even need to do some last minute adjustments. If the temperature is a bit low, you have more grip, but also if it becomes too cold, that means your tires will take more time to get up to temperature, so maybe just one lap won't be enough. And every tire change, same, you have to go through the warm-up process, so the track temperature will influence in that way. And humidity also has a huge factor in grip, so the higher the humidity, the less grip you will have. And not to mention, I'm not sure if iRacing is bringing weather in this release, but if they do, we are actually gonna have rain in iRacing pretty soon. So really excited about that. That's the one thing for me that is missing in this simulator. So I'll keep going with the tests, but I hope you found this useful and follow my Twitch channel or my YouTube channel, whatever platform you prefer. I will upload this into YouTube as well later. But thanks for watching and have a good night.